Here is a story about William Grudgings who came to an untimely end. While on a trip to the Gila Cliff Dwellings National Monument, I took a hike up the West Fork Trail. At the trailhead, there was the expected signage for trails and their distances, but there was also a sign for Grudgings' grave, which I was not expecting. To give you a bit of orientation, this trailhead starts at the parking lot at the National Monument, and the grave is about a mile in. The Grudgings cabin stood near this spot until 1995 when it was burned in a fire. The sign did not lie, and there really is a tombstone for William Grudgings. It reads, William Grudgings, waylaid and murdered by Tom Woods, October 8, 1893, age 37 years, 8 months. The epitaph implies some terrible deeds, and I couldn't resist doing a little research. According to Park Ranger Henry Woodrow, homicide amongst neighbors was a primary way to resolve disagreements about cattle ranges. There's another grave near this tombstone, that of William B. Huffman, who was killed by his neighbor, Jordan Rogers, who was later acquitted. But returning to William Grudgings, 2 other deaths preceded his. Those were the murders of Charlie Woods and Francisco Diaz. Charlie was the 15-year-old son of the aforementioned Tom, and Francisco worked on their property. Charlie and Francisco had gone into Silver City for supplies and camped near the Grudgings cabin upon their return. Their bodies were discovered the morning of October 12, 1892. Both had been shot, but none of the recently purchased supplies, ammunitions, or animals were missing, making it look like the aim was murder and not robbery. The coroner's jury did not indict anyone for these crimes. Almost exactly 1 year later, William Grudgings went from a witness in the coroner's jury to a victim, himself being killed outside his cabin. According to the Silver City Enterprise, William and his half-brother Thomas, not to be confused with Tom Woods, were returning to their cabin in the dark when they were ambushed and shot. The story is Thomas Grudgings escaped into the brush while William was killed. A further story says that Thomas Grudgings went to Louisiana, where Tom Woods spent 2 years tracking him down and then shot him in the bayou. Records conflict on this part of the story, and it may be apocryphal. Tom Woods held William responsible for the deaths the year before and shot him in revenge. Allegedly, he confessed to the crime and voluntarily surrendered to authorities. He later escaped. One story is that the sheriff was sympathetic and looked the other way while he made his getaway. Another is that a citizen somehow gained custody of the accused and released him into a nearby canyon. Tom Woods has been described as one of the pioneers of the Upper Gila country. It is said that he eventually stood trial and was then acquitted for the death of William Grudgings, but trial records have been lost to time. I couldn't find much more about Tom Woods, but according to his gravestone, he died with 14 notches on his gun, at least one of which was from the Grudgings family. He is buried in Memorial Lane Cemetery in Silver City. It is possible that William Grudgings did kill Charlie Woods and Francisco Diaz. If so, his family is unlikely to have included that part on his tombstone. While this memorial is not historically inaccurate, it offers a selective interpretation of the events. If you have questions about this or other aspects of New Mexico history, please email us at historylibrary@state.nm.us.